Hello everyone, and welcome to every episode of the Epic Tales of Captain Underpants Season 2 Reviewed. Now, Season 1 was a pretty good season, though I could have thought it could have been better. So let's hope Season 2 would be much better than this one. So before we get into the reviews, I'll just tell you some changes I've made to the slide. So I added the date and order I watched the episode, because I don't watch these episodes in order. There's where the pictures will be. I now make them in Adobe Photoshop and Fresco. And the new highlight, where it shows my favorite part of the episode. So yeah, everything else is practically the same, and without further ado, let's get started with Episode 14, The Teddy Was Taken Out of the Tyrannical Teeter-Trons. Fun fact, Captain Underpants is not in this episode, which is weird because the show is called The Epic Tales of Captain Underpants. Anyways, my favorite part is the robots uniting to make a big robot. Now this episode takes place a few days after the events of, the last episode of the last season, of the previous season, where Melvin Borg and Melvin and Melvin are now teaching Melvinized stuff that not even the teachers understand, making the teachers look stupid. Yeah, so then Melvin recognizes this and creates the big robot things. Now the robots are actually pretty funny. And the teachers don't really get funny, in my opinion, before they get locked in the teacher's room. I think. I forgot what it was called. Anyways, yeah, the first half kind of starts out pretty bland, but the second half is actually really, really good. And that's why I'm going to call it a great tale. Let's move right along to episode 15, The Frantic Fury of the Fearsome Hercules. Fun fact, that button does nothing. I don't know, I was kind of in, that's the only fact I got that. I was kind of in a rush when I watched this one. Anyways, my favorite part is the Melvin song. Now, this episode starts out for what happened to Mr. Crump. Because in the last episode, we see Mr. Crump, getting chased by raccoons or something. But now in this episode, he escaped to a forest in Ecuador where he's trying to find hair to finally have meaning in life, which is a pretty drastic change from when we see him in the last episode, obviously. Anyways, and then they go back to the school, and now the school is fully Melvinized. Well, almost fully Melvinized, I guess. Yes, and now everything is Melvin. So, yeah. Then the students want Mr. Crump back because they don't like Melvin. And, they go to Ecuador because that's where Jordan Howard finds out about that, and we meet this really annoying taco dude. And then they go to Ecuador, full up the misfarts from the misfarts there. And they try to find it, but then right as someone from the misfarts does something, they go back to the tribe house because apparently that thing is actually a really, really rich place for some reason. And yeah, they're just lazy there. So yeah, I thought it was pretty close to mediocre, but it's still a good episode, and it can be considered a great tale in my opinion. Let's just move right around to episode 16, The Harmful Horrors of the Harrowing High School. Fun fact, BNA can spread through honey. It's the reason why Queen Zombie can take over everything. Anyways, my favorite part is bureaucracy, which I totally spelled that wrong, by the way. way. But yeah, now when I was going to rewatch this episode, I really thought it was going to be a mediocre tale because I remember I not really liking this episode the first time I watched it all the way back in 2019. But now rewatching it, I realized it wasn't that bad. And the only bad part was Mr. Crump becoming vice principal. And apparently vice principals are like slaves to the principal, which is weird and stupid. Anyways. Yeah. So yeah, that's basically a great tale there. And a great tale overall. Let's move right along to episode 17, the preposterous pulverizing of the pestilous Chupacabra. Fun fact, Chupacabra wants to kill Mr. Meter. Yeah. Anyways, my favorite part of the episode is the advanced symbols. Now, remember all the way back in Clay Losses when I said Chupacabra was going to become more important in a future episode? I was kind of referring to this one. It's because Chupacabra has a really big role in this episode. Mostly because it was meant to be like a soulmate to Poopacabra, which is a weird diaper rat thing made by George and Harold accidentally. Yeah. Yeah, this episode, now looking back at it, it was relatively close to being a mediocre tale. But there are so few good gags, like obviously the Advancimals, because that's my favorite part of the episode. And also, about the rat thing, I forgot his name. Him having a crush on someone, but then was taken away by another lab rat, and was taken away from each other, and it broke his heart forever. That was also some really good parts there. And anyways, so yeah, that basically manages to get that up to a great tale. If there was is there one really disappointing part I really did not like? It was the fight scene. I don't know, it just felt really underwhelming to me in my opinion. But let's just move along to episode 18, the dastardly deed of the devious Diddlysaurus. Fun fact, dinosaurs in their world were frozen in ice, causing them to be in the Pequot Glacier, and so they can technically be revived. Anyways, my favorite part is just one more episode. So yeah, so let's just talk about Diddlysaurus for a bit. Diddlysaurus is this pranking dinosaur who likes to prank people. And I don't really like him that much, which is not a good thing, thinking like he's going to be like he's pretty much is one of the main characters in this episode, so he gets to have a more runtime. So yeah. And also, the breaks he does are honestly my least favorite part of the episode, because they're probably just filler, because Diddlysaurus says, hey, let's prank some people, and that's exactly what they do. They prank people. But besides Diddlysaurus, I actually like the other dinosaurs a lot more. I like how they're trying to get revenge on Diddlysaurus, and I also like Captain Underpants and Harold in this episode. And so yeah, that basically sums it up to a great tale. And I also thought the beginning of the episode was really bland when I first watched it, but when rewatching it, the nice mustache part is kind of funny, but only for a little bit. Now to move on to episode 19, the shadowy syndrome of the sinister splotch. Fun fact, this episode acts like a sequel to the jarring jerkiness of Judge Jorts. Anyways, my favorite part is Rubes. Anyways, this honestly has my least favorite beginning so far. George and Harold say no for like 2 minutes, and I checked this. Wrong. Don't get me wrong. You might say 1 minute. Isn't that like too much? I checked it, and it was over 1 minute, maybe even 2 minutes long. It pretty much starts the episode on a low note. But don't worry, that's the only part I really dislike. Everything else is amazing to push this up to a great tale. I like the fight. I like the orama actually, because I'm not really the biggest fan of the oramas. And I like the characters that Mr. Riri appears in this episode after coming back from one of the greatest episodes of all time. And I just really, really, really like this episode. It is a really good episode, rewatching it now. Anyways, let's move along to episode 20, The Bizarre Blitzkrieg of the Bothersome Butterflies. Fun fact, cargo bats are actually made by Melvin. I forgot to tell this in the Frantic Fury of the Fearsome Hercules, but this character is called Other Sophie, who gets tortured by Jessica and Sophie, get found by crocobats after accidentally mislanding. And they take her as her queen. Yeah. So those are apparently made by Melvin, and then were brought back to the past by George and Harold, and then they managed to survive to make Other Sophie their leader. Duh. Well, anyways, my favorite part is the country music. I honestly think this is one of my favorite parts of all of season 2. And it definitely says that for an episode that is quite forgettable after you don't watch it for a few months. Well, I mean the rest of the parts. But the butterflies are, well, potty gag villains, which you know how much I like those. But they actually put them to good use in this episode, so that they're actually monsters that want to kill everyone in their school by farts. Which is, I mean, still potty gags, but hey, it's improvement. Yeah, improvement. Anyways, Jessica tries to act like a leader, but honestly she doesn't. Yeah. So, but this is still a great tale because I don't have anything wrong with them. It's just a pretty good episode and a decently balanced one. Let's just move right along to episode 21, The Problematic Pandemonium of the Punishing Plungerina. Fun fact, this episode was first teased in the vexing villainy of the vile vampire. Yeah, Erica says Plungerina, but that was only at the very, very end of the episode. Though, man, a lot of episodes are getting hinted in season 1. Anyways, my favorite part is Cloggernaut appearing randomly to destroy things. So this episode is honestly pretty forgettable, but after you watch it for the future, after you don't watch it for a few months, which is basically the same thing as the previous episode, but when you rewatch it, it's actually a pretty good one. There's only like one or two scenes I didn't really like. But besides those, this is pretty much a great tale. Man, there are a lot of great tales so far. Actually, all of them are great tales so far. Wonder how long we can keep up the streak. Now it's time for episode 22, The Bombastic Blathering of the Brainy Blabulous. This one. Fun fact, Jerome Horwitz is Jerome Horwitz with the first letter swapped. Anyways, my favorite part is George and Harold transferring schools. And that's literally like the only memorable part of this episode. Everything else is forgettable. It's literally the same plot as Flabby Flabulous in the second half, and it's basically just a slow, basically something really slow in the first half. In the middle is okay, I guess. But not anything to bring you up to a great tale or anything. Yeah. You can tell I'm definitely not gonna get this a great tale at all, and it's actually getting a mediocre tale. Because there are still a few parts I like in the episode that manages to bring it up to a mediocre tale. Like obviously my favorite part of the episode, the Mr. Meaner actually being buff, and some gags with Brainy Blabulous is good. But all in all, it's just one very bland, forgettable episode, and the second half is just a rip-off of Flabby Flabulous. Let's just be honest with that. Anyways, let's move along to episode 23, the crazy caustic spray of the contagious Cruelly Sneezer. Fun fact, Kisakis was originally in a rock band. Random fact there, but anyways, my favorite part of this whole episode is Ripticus. Basically an over-exaggeration of Rome, which caused George and Harold to go to Rome in the first place because they don't like their field trips in the first place. Like they like the warehouse, or the hole. Anyways, this episode really doesn't start getting good until they get to Rome. That's when this episode really starts getting good and earns its name as a great tale. I like Julius Sneezer in this episode. Melvin's actually not annoying for once, which I mean, kinda ruins his character because Melvin's always supposed to be annoying, I guess. I don't know. But I like the scene. I actually like the Orama. I like the scene where they're trying to fight Undefeaticus. I even made his mask over there. If that's what you're wondering who that is. And yeah, this is just one great tale, all and all. Let's just move right along to episode 24, the trashy tale of the tumultuous Tubba Dump. Fun fact, this episode, and the end of the episode, is a cliffhanger to the next 2 episodes. Yeah, I just thought I'd throw that there. Anyways, my favorite part of the episode is the different times people got the golden dumpies. It's all part of Erica's Dump Day Memorial thing. Anyways, I used to really like this episode when I first watched it. And what about when rewatching it? Yeah, it's basically the same thing as I watch it. It's just full of goodness. A great tale, if you would say. It has a lot of good gags. I actually like some of the more parts than other episodes in this episode. And it's just a really, really good episode, all in all. Anyways, let's move along to episode 25, the taxing drama of the treacherous Tattle Trials, part 1. Fun fact, this is technically the first ever 2-parter in the series, because the last 2 episodes in those things are actually episodes are technically cliffhangers to each other, so they don't really count as a 2-parter. But this one actually emphasizes that it's a 2-parter series. Anyways, my favorite part is the different obstacles. My favorite one being Mina's Sky Trap, which I drew over there. Anyways, this episode, along with its sister episode especially, are one of the best episodes of the entire series. There is literally nothing that can beat this episode. Maybe except the TP Mummy. But even so, that thing has a lot of toilet gags, which you know how much I like toilet gags. This episode is just full of goodness. I like the cliffhanger. I like the obstacles, obviously. There's the Penny-Nosed Panther. The stupefying stares of Stank. There's Pizzasaurus Pizza, which apparently brings Deadly Source. But don't worry, he's actually funny in this episode. which is good thing. So yeah, this is obviously going to be a great tale. Now let's move along to the final episode of Season 2, Episode 26, the taxing drama of the treacherous title trials, Part 2. Fun fact, this is the second season in a row to that's supposed to say end, with a cliffhanger. Yeah, I kind of typoed that there when I was making the slide. Anyways, my favorite part is the ending. As much as it's sad, it is really good. Anyways, this just might be my favorite episode of all of Captain Underpants. Everything is good in this episode. I cannot find a single bad thing in this episode. I'm being honest. Maybe Tra La Land, a bit of it can get a bit annoying, but besides that, this is an amazing episode, and it could be my favorite episode of all time. Actually, I think it might be my favorite episode of all time. So yeah, this is indeed most stupendously a great tale. And that was every episode of Captain Underpants Season 2 reviewed. So anyways, let's look at some charts. But before we look at the Season 2 charts, let's look at the Season 1 charts. As you can see, Season 1 had 9 great tales, 3 mediocre tales, and 1 terrible tale. Like I said in that episode, not bad, but I was kinda expecting a bit more from Season 1. But anyways, let's take a look at Season 2 statistics, which let me tell you, they're much better than Season 1's. Season 2 had 12 great tales, only 1 mediocre tale, and no terrible tales. This is obviously really, really good statistics right here, as there's no terrible tales at all, only 1 mediocre tale, which is honestly very mediocre, and 12 great tales, which are honestly all pretty solid episodes, honestly. So if we leave that to the rating of the season as a whole, this is most absolutely, most stupendously, most positively a great season. Now, before we end this part, I'd like to go over some notes I put down while I was watching the whole season. The first note being, this is Melvin's biggest role in the entire series. Like, seriously, there is not another time at all where Melvin has this big of a role. Like, I think Melvin appears in every single episode. So, not kidding. Which is good, because Melvin's one of my favorite characters in this series. Even though he can get a bit annoying, that's very likely what his character was made for. Anyways, my second note is that Erica appears more often. I know Erica is supposed to be like a side character, but here it starts around halfway near the end of Season 2 where she starts to really form to become a main character. And you'll definitely see this once we get to Season 4. My third note is that potty gags are rare in this season. I can only think of 2 good times where I saw a lot of potty gags. That being the butterflies and Plungerina. Yeah. But besides that, potty gags are only spread around 1 to 3 potty gags in each episode, which might seem like a lot of potty gags for an episode, but trust me, there's a lot of potty gags in Season 1. And my final note is that a lot of episodes this season was teased in Season 1. Obviously, I'm talking about that stupid cliffhanger in Judge George, the vexing villain of the Vile Vampire, and of course the last episode spilling into Season 2 as a whole. And all in all, most of the episodes were pretty much teased in Season 1. Which, I mean, isn't that bad, but, I mean, they didn't tease a few episodes. But yeah, that's it of the episode, so if you made it this far, kudos to you. Anyways, final notes. visiting PIEGUYRULZ for inspiration. That's the best photo I could find. Deal with it. And I also now have a Discord server called Wafers Place. The link is going to be in the description, don't worry. Anyways, I'm Wafers, and please like, please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya!